Well, welcome back everybody to the Haas playthrough in Motorsport Manager then, in the Fire mod. And we edged ever closer to finally moving off 9th place in the championship last time then. So we're now level 1 points with Renault. Unfortunately, McLaren had a pretty good result as well, means they're 5 points ahead of us now. But still catchable. If we have 1 or 2 good point scoring positions, and Renault and McLaren stay out of the points, we could still get 7th, which would be a pretty great achievement considering where our car is and how much we've struggled this season at times. But we still got the 9th quickest car, so hopefully with all the money in the bank we can make a much better car next year to go forward. We just need to get the maximum that we can out of the remaining races. So we got 4 races to go then. And obviously Leclerc getting his first points last time out. You'll be happy to hear that I've moved the Shadow Play logo. Well, the little status thing. So we shouldn't be getting Magnussen's fuel wrong again. We got a scouting report back from Ryan Tiverter then. He is awful. Okay, that's definitely not an option. So have we got any? How many have we got? We just got Bruno Carneria to come back. I thought we had more complete than that. Have we actually scouted Ferrucci? I'm not sure we have. I guess we should take a look at him and scout him if we haven't already. Let's have a look. We have. So Ferrucci might be. We were talking last time. I always say last time. It was a conversation in the comments that with Foxworth that we might struggle to get a driver. A fairly good driver as a reserve because they'll want to be a main race driver. But Ferrucci's definitely a possibility. I feel like he would accept being a reserve. Whereas the other option, which was Menendez, he's already a pretty good driver, so whether he would actually accept a reserve slot, also he'd expect some pretty substantial wages. So I think Ferrucci's probably the most likely. But we don't have to do that just yet. We can do that at the end of the season. So let's get going, shall we? Need to make any changes that we can to the pit crew. I feel we need to bring... Where have all our... Where's our crew gone? Hello? Okay, that's not great. Have we lost all our crew? I think we have. Well, that's a strange bug. Right. Not really much I can do about that. I get... Add to recovery. No. Yeah, they've all gone. Wonderful. Okay. We're just going to have to hire 3 new pit... What? Well, that's a pain in the arse. Unless I'm going completely mad and we didn't have any reserves, but I'm pretty sure we did. They've all disappeared. How annoying is that? Right, okay. Nothing we can do about it. Let's just swap them out and be done with it. So Richard's pretty good on the front jack, 16. He'll do nicely. And the other one, Gonzalez, pretty good also on the front jack. Pretty good with fixing as well. Yeah, let's swap him in for Lucitero, who is terrible. We would never have hired that guy. I feel like all of these people have changed for some reason. Yeah, our tyres got... Everybody's awful. What is going on? Have I not noticed this before or something? There wasn't like a event or something. Let's go race mechanics. This, how irritating is this? Okay, well, that screwed up our pit crew severely, and we've now got a bunch of just dreadful crew. Is it? Let me know if anyone's experienced this, because this is a pain in the ass. Yeah, we've just got loads of terrible guys. We can't really do much about it. We could put Ayala in for somebody, but he's got terrible stamina. We're just going to have to go with this crew for the moment and hope these guys don't make a mistake. At least they've got good stamina, and we'll have to replace them slowly. It's just one of those things, really. That's a real pain in the arse, because that could destroy any chances of points if we make mistakes or our pit stops aren't quick enough. And it's costing us money to rehire everybody. Look, we'll just shrug it off and continue. I don't know what's going on. Some kind of bug, obviously. Right, reliability, we're doing gearbox at the moment. I guess we could do the rear wing as well. We had switched mostly to performance increases. There's still a little bit to gain on that engine, but we'll keep an eye on it, and then we'll switch it over to the gearbox once that's maxed out. So we still want to get that gearbox ready for next time. Which is probably why we took that rear wing off last time. So we'll take that back so that we can try and get that new gearbox ready for next race. And then we need to keep an eye on that engine and switch it over as soon as it maxes out. Oh, that's a real pain in the arse. Now got sponsors complaining. Our sponsors have been rather disappointed with the hospitality you put on this season. In fact, we've been getting a bit of a bad reputation. Americans bad at hospitality? Surely not. Could you get one of the drivers to put in a few appearances over the race weekend to impress the sponsors? Yeah, I guess so. I presume we've lost marketability. We could just stay at the same marketability we're at, I presume, if we just lose 100,000. What's it at the moment? 61%, so we definitely can't afford to lose anything. And we have got a sponsor running out in one race, and we've got another one in 2 races time. So that 30% boost to marketability will probably allow us to get some better sponsors. So it's worth doing, I think, even if Leclerc does have to take a morale hit. So we will do that, and then hopefully we can get some better sponsors when they run out. Right, scout report coming back in a minute. And Canario is a young driver with a lot of potential. Probably not quite as high a potential as Ferrucci, or as good a base stats, but a good backup if Ferrucci does turn us down then. It's really someone that needs more time. He hasn't even raced yet, according to this, in Formula 3. So, probably not an option. Maybe one further down the line. And let's just remember, there are plenty of drivers we could get in that reserve slot. But I really want an American just for that. To try and train up an American driver to finally race in Formula 1 someday. Soon. So, I think we probably will go for Ferrucci. Right, we've got 5 more for the engine. So, we need to check back in a couple of days. And then probably switch that to the gearbox. That performance work is now done then. Kevin's feeling better, fully recovered. Good news. Hopefully he can have a good race next time out then. We're on target. Forecasting centre, not going to happen. Previews. Okay. Right, let's switch the performance to the gearbox then. The 2 new gearboxes that we've now got available. Hopefully that one... We might have to be a bit careful with it, but it is quite a big increase in performance, so I would like to put that gearbox on a car for this weekend. And I think we're about ready to go then. So we'll go 663 as usual. Sponsors, yep, we just get our base sponsors, which is good. And then I think we will fit that gearbox. 74%, we'll have to look after it a little bit. Let's give it to Leclerc. As K-Mag should be fighting fit this weekend, and I'm hoping he'll still have the edge over Leclerc a little bit. So we're all ready to go then. As per usual then, I shall get practice underway and be back with you guys for qualifying. Okay, we're into qualifying then. Pretty good practice session all round. 97% set up for Leclerc. 95 for Magnussen, although I've made a couple of little tweaks that will hopefully make the setup a little bit better in qualifying. Very difficult to tell where our pace is. Hopefully we can get into the top 10 again with both cars. That's really the minimum aim. And yeah, the race really, we're just aiming to get both cars in the points. I think if we can do that on 1 or 2 occasions in the remaining 4 races, then we stand a very good chance of beating Renault and McLaren. It's really difficult because Alonso, especially for McLaren, just has this odd race where he has a stunning race, as he does in real life. And in that sense, they've actually done a really good job of representing Alonso in this mod. But he just has that odd race where he'll get a 7th or an 8th and get a bag full of points, and it makes it really difficult. But Renault should be the minimum target, really, to beat them. But anyway, both cars have done their opening laps then. It's 1:11.3 for Leclerc and 1:11.7 for Magnussen. So I think for the first time, their opening exchanges in qualifying have gone the way of Leclerc. Definitely looking the better driver at the moment, and quite a substantial gap between the pair of them. 4 tenths of a second then. So yeah, we should see an improvement from Magnussen hopefully next time. Obviously Leclerc has got the better setup, or he did before I made some tweaks to Magnussen's. There's a good chance that the tweaks went the wrong way with Magnussen as well. Obviously we'll check just before he goes out for his second run. But Leclerc is on form as well, so we'll have to wait and see if he can find an improvement. But at the moment Leclerc is about where we want to be. He's P7 then, and I was going to say just the Mercedes, Ferraris and Red Bulls ahead of him, but Perez once again. Someone seems to have a real hard on for Perez in this mod. Whoever made the guys that made it, because he's really good for some reason. He's not that good. He's not P3 good in qualifying, I'm afraid. Right, tweaks did go the right way for Magnussen then. 97%, so level on setup with Leclerc. So no excuses for him. He needs to go out in this second run and find a bag full of time then. Obviously Leclerc has got a very slightly better gearbox, but I think Magnussen has better parts elsewhere on the car, so I don't think it's a car thing. This is purely on performance from these two. And of course one track might suit drivers better than the other. Magnussen is back to full health as well this race, so I'm expecting a big improvement from him. And I'm hoping we can, if we get the setup right and we're good on fuel levels, which we should be now that I can see the meter properly, that we can have a real shot at getting both cars into the points here. That's the dream. I dreamed a dream, and hopefully we can pull it off. Of course this is Formula 1, so anything can happen, and it usually does, in the words of the immortal Murray Walker. Right, Magnussen will be the first to cross the line then. Let's see if he can find a big improvement that he needs. He does not. He does not improve. Leclerc doesn't improve either. They both go considerably well, Magnussen actually improved by a couple of hundredths. Leclerc went about 3 tenths of a second slower then. And no real change in track conditions. There should have been more rubber available to them at that point. So that's a bit disappointing from those two. Leclerc does sneak into the top 10 though. So if he finishes where he starts, I do have to sort of remember as well. You're looking at these teams in the top 10. You know, Mercedes, Ferrari, Williams, Force India, Red Bull. They're all teams that are massively faster than us. So I suppose 10th and 15th isn't too bad. Magnussen is ahead of both McLarens, and Leclerc is ahead of both Renaults. The 2 Renaults starting right next to our 2 drivers on the grid then. So Sainz in 11th, Hulkenberg in 16th. So we've got our direct competition right next to us for this race. And then Van Dorn I'm not really worried about, but the wily old fox Alonso I would expect to pull off a very different strategy to everybody else, so we've got to look out for him late in the race. We are at the point now where we are looking after ourselves, as you do in every race, but I do have one eye on Renault and McLaren because we know that they are our direct competition. And unlike the normal game, without the non-modded version, I actually know all the drivers and teams, so it's very easy to pick out who we're fighting. So we're going to take a couple of laps off Leclerc then. And from P10, I feel we should maybe start on the soft tyres. Because I think that's probably going to give us the best chance of doing a two-stop strategy. I don't think super softs will go far enough. We'll probably start both cars on the softs. Did we take a couple of laps out? There we go, a couple of laps out. And then Kevin Magnussen. I feel we'll do the same. We will keep the fuel to the max. And I'm struggling to get my words out today for some reason, as I do every now and then. We'll keep the full 36 laps on, and we'll push a lot harder early race to get rid of that excess fuel, which is what we haven't been doing recently. I think we'll try the mediums maybe for Magnussen, starting back in 15th. If he can go longer, it will get him out of that traffic, and then hopefully he can have a good second stint. Gives him a bit more flexibility as well if he maybe wants to do one stop on the super softs right at the end. Right, enough talking as per usual. We must do the talking on the racetrack, and let's see how we get. Lance Stroll P4, worst mod of the year. Perez, Ocon, Verstappen, Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, Kvyat. I'm really happy that Leclerc's picture is Haas. It kind of works nicely into it. If we get a non-Haas driver in, I might have to somehow try and update this picture if we can. I might talk to the mod makers and see if I can change it so that they're always in a Haas uniform. Anyway, let's get on, shall we? We're racing for today. We need some points if we're to overturn the deficit to McLaren and pull ahead of Renault in the Constructors then. And it's a fairly okay start then. Leclerc up to 10th. Magnussen... Leclerc holding 10th, sorry. Magnussen up a couple of places to 13th. Leclerc gets past Kimi Raikkonen there. Battling hard with the Ferrari then. The ex-Ferrari driver Leclerc, of course. One of their young drivers, now driving for Haas. I'm sure we got a nice, tasty little discount on the parts we buy from Ferrari for bringing Leclerc on board. Although, unfortunately, the game gave me none of that. Right, time to go to medium and neutral, and we will go high and neutral for Magnussen. Just use that fuel boost coming up then. Let's get ready to use it as soon as it goes green, which it does. And Leclerc is ahead of Stroll. Stroll's fallen way back through the field then from his good qualifying position of P4. Let's go up to 2-speed then. As I think I've mentioned in both series now, but I'll mention it once more in this one. We're going to stay on 2-speed now for these races. They'll be a little bit longer, but it just means that we don't make any stupid mistakes right at the death because it's going so quickly. Magnussen is flying. Magnussen's got ahead of Leclerc. He's now up to P9. And what looked like advantage Leclerc for this weekend, suddenly Kevin Magnussen coming to the fore here on the medium tyres, so he might just have taken advantage of everybody fighting between themselves. Leclerc is still right up there though, he's just behind Stroll in 11th. Tyres overheating a little bit. It is pretty hot out here, so I think we'll go conserve for Leclerc. I think we'll stay on neutral for Magnussen just because the mediums are going to be able to go a bit further anyway. It just means he can be a bit more aggressive now. So Leclerc, obviously with a big deficit to fuel, hopefully he'll save that over the course of the race. That's the other difference, of course. Magnussen is pushing all the way through here. And we have a little deficit in terms of fuel, but we'll keep pushing for the moment as he's racing so well. And we can save that fuel later in the race if we need to. Hopefully a bit better than we did in the last episode of the normal Motorsport Manager. where we somehow, actually I won't spoil it just in case you guys haven't watched it, but it was a cracker of a race if you want to go watch that. So things stabilising. Magnussen currently in P10. Leclerc has just been passed by Massa, down to P13 now. So the most direct competition is Carlos Sainz just behind Magnussen in 11th on the super soft tyres. Alonso has made his way up to 16th. Hulkenberg's dropped back to 19th. Vandal on 20th. So if we can pick up a point or two here, then we seem quids in. But of course, there goes Carlos Sainz actually. I was going to say he was a danger, and he's just proved it. Right, these mediums are overheating quite badly. We shouldn't really have stayed on neutral, I don't think. And we're just going to drop the fuel back now, so that we can get this maybe a bit of positive fuel to use later in the race. We definitely haven't got a massive excess this time, which is good. And we're just going to have to settle down and see how things go. First pit stop's still quite a way off. I expect most of the front guys to be coming in pretty soon though, on those super softs. And in fact, just as we say that, Sainz and Stroll are the first to come in then, putting on the medium and soft tyres respectively. So that promotes Magnussen up to P10, although Massa has now made his way past Kevin as well. Magnussen under pressure from his teammate. This is going to be an interesting, really interesting race from these two, because this is the first time they've really gone head to head on track on very similar strategies. Obviously Leclerc's got the tyre advantage now, you would imagine. It's going to be really interesting to see how they fight between themselves. We are sort of backing up the field a little bit. We've got both Toro Rossos, the Sauber, and Alonso is just behind there as well. So we're definitely in a big old fight, and it worries me a little bit how quickly Massa is going away from us. Now, is there a reason for that, I wonder? He's going very hard actually at the moment. Don't take that out of context, please. He's on neutral and push, so he is going a lot harder on these tyres. But he obviously looks after them early on, because he's still got the same tyre life as K-Mag on the same tyre. So this will be another long play, I think. We'll see who has the best strategies. A lot of people pitting very early. And of course, if we can go deep enough into this race, we may well save a pit stop on some people. But we are a complete roadblock at the moment, these two. They have got an almighty chain of cars behind them. And Massa is just disappearing down the road. Now, we got a bit of excess fuel from Magnussen. He seems to be holding up Leclerc at the moment. So I'm just going to use his boost and put his fuel up a little bit, to see if he can just break Leclerc and see if the pair of them can shake this group behind them. We're going to do the same for Leclerc. We're going to use that boost. Probably not the best place, to be fair, just to get him away from that pack. Now we're going to have to stop pit Leclerc pretty soon. Now I think this is a pretty easy two-stop race on the soft tyres. I don't see much need to push them too far. So let's not go to the maximum this time. Let's bring him in early-ish and not have those horrible laps on worn tyres. So he'll come in this time around. I'm going to take a drink. It's tough old work. I talk a lot during these. Do you guys think I talk too much? Obviously not, because quite a few of you seem to enjoy it. So I'm obviously doing something right, I guess. Please love me. Right, everything's looking okay. Magnussen has got he saved that fuel back pretty quickly. One bad mistake in the pit stop for Leclerc means he loses about 1.2 seconds. Crucially, he gets back out ahead of Hulkenberg, but he is now quite a long way behind Sainz. But again, you've got to look at it the other side of it. Sainz is on about 50% tyres, and we're not even halfway yet. So that would suggest to me that Sainz is going to have to stop twice as many times as us, as Hulkenberg goes past Leclerc there then. So is Hulkenberg pushing? Yeah, he's using high fuel mode. I wonder if we need to be putting a bit of extra fuel in with Leclerc. His engine and gearbox is holding up well, considering. Now we just need to decide how far we take Magnussen. Because the tyres are holding up well, and the deeper we go into this race, the better chance we've got of doing one stint on the super softs right at the end. So I think we're going to go for the soft tyres in the middle stint, and I'm wondering if we can one-stop this. I am wondering if we can do that. No, it's not going to be far enough. We're not going to be able to go deep enough. I think it'd be too risky. So we'll go two-stop. We'll go softs. Could we, if we get another lap or two? I just think we'll be too slow at the end. So we'll go softs, and then we'll go super soft at the end. We'll save fuel through this middle stint. At least keep it on medium. And then let's just use the rest of that boost to make his in-lap as good as possible. So I think he's going to be fighting quite a lot of traffic when he comes back out. But yeah, if we keep it on neutral during the entirety of this stint, and then hopefully he's come back out in 13th, nicely ahead of Leclerc and ahead of Hulkenberg, crucially. Alonso again is worrying me. He's up there in P10, still hasn't stopped. So I think we're fighting for the last couple of points positions. Probably fighting Stroll and Alonso. Possibly, but Magnussen and Kvyat again are well ahead of us. So we've got a lot of work to do. Right, I think we might be able to go neutral for a few laps with Leclerc. I don't feel we have to... Famous last words, because this has happened quite a lot after I've said this, but I don't think we have to look after the tyres too much. I think we're going to have the range in them pretty comfortably to get to the end. So we just need to try and navigate this field. So we've got a lot of boost to use for Leclerc, and that means he can make the move finally on Hulkenberg into turn 1. That's probably a move we should have made a lot earlier than that. But that now releases him onto the back of Magnussen. Magnussen, in turn, we need to get past Kvyat, and then we need to start trying to chase down Massa and Stroll in the two Williams cars. So we'll wait for Magnussen to get closer. This might be his chance. He gets past into turn 1. Good move from K-Mag. And now let's see what kind of pace he's got and see if he can catch up with Massa ahead. I think it's the two Williams cars we're racing here. Sainz might be able to go to the end, as might, I think Alonso definitely can. So it's going to play out later in the race. Just trying to keep an eye on everything. So Magnussen's in the box seat here, I think, because he's in a good position and he can go a lot deeper into this race, and that's going to mean that he can go very aggressive on the super softs on the final stint. Right, let's keep an eye on the gap to Massa. 5.3 seconds at the moment. Magnussen hasn't really got away from Kvyat how I wanted. And he's kind of holding up Leclerc as well. And I think maybe we go neutral and high. And that fuel that I was saving for the super softs, I think we need to use now. This is going to be our best opportunity to close the gap to Massa, and we need to get away from Kvyat as well. Leclerc, we need to get past Kvyat also. We're just going to go back to conserve. He needs a few more laps out of these super softs, and they're overheating. These softs, sorry. 12 laps to go though. He can probably pit any time around now. We're just going to try and use this boost down the main straight to see if he can get past Kvyat. Move done. You can probably go to high mode. Just try and gap Kvyat a bit. Right. Need to time these final stops then. Leclerc, we can probably pit this time around. There's no need to go any longer. This would have been 12 laps by the end of this time around. So the softs will easily do 12 laps. So we will bring in Leclerc this lap, and he can be fairly aggressive on them, as they should easily have their life till the end of the race. The first set he used did 14 laps. We've obviously overheated these pretty badly. But I think it was necessary to get past the traffic. So hopefully no mistakes from the pit crew this time around. There isn't. It's still a long stop though because of that terrible pit crew. There's not much we can do about that. And I think we'll go neutral and push for the first couple of laps, as he's got a lot of space ahead of him. And everybody else ahead is going to have to stop, but they're going to come back out on much fresher tyres. And quite a few of them are going to come back out on super softs. So Clerk needs to get the gap done now. He needs to make advantage of the fresh tyres and the fuel he's got on board. And then hopefully he'll come back out sufficiently far ahead of people that he won't be chased down. Now, just got to pick the right lap with Magnussen then. So we know that these tyres can do, the super softs can do 10 laps. And we've actually only got 8 to do now. So how deep do we really need to take these? Not much deeper, I would have thought. I think we'll bring him in next time around after this then. So he'll come in this time round onto the super softs, and then it can be a sprint to the finish. As per usual in this game, I have no idea how this is going to shake out. Now Leclerc's got the 2 McLarens ahead of him again on very odd strategies. Van Dorn, I'm pretty sure, is going to have to pit from there. Let's just go back to conserve because we've used those tyres yet again a bit too aggressively. I get so caught up with the fact that, oh, we've done 12, 14 laps on these before, we've only got 11 laps to go, so we can push on them. But if you push too hard, you destroy them. Magnussen comes back out just behind Leclerc then. He's going to be a lot quicker than him. So if he doesn't get past naturally, we will probably tell Leclerc to let K-Mag through, because he's got the best chance of some points here, I think. He needs to get past these 2 McLarens very quickly indeed. Both of them do, to be fair. So let's use Leclerc's boost to get past Alonso. Magnussen going around the outside. That was a stupid place to use it for Magnussen, but it's enough to get him past. And now he needs to get past Leclerc then. Temperature's looking good. We've still got fuel to use on both cars. And the 2 drivers going wheel to wheel then. Magnussen makes the move, stick around the outside of that left-hander. And now he can get on after the 2 Williams again. Now Alonso's got back past. Alonso's a real pain in the arse. He really is. He looks dead and buried, and then he just comes back at you from nowhere. And he's like, hello! Don't do that accent, Jay, for crying out loud. I'm going to have to go conserve for a couple of laps with those super softs just to get them back under control. I'm just going to use that boost from Leclerc. He's now got back past Alonso. And needs to move away because we've got Kvyat on a roll on the super softs as well. So we need to try and gap him. Now Magnussen's got 6.2 seconds, 6 seconds even now to car ahead. To be fair, we've got so many tyres, I don't know why we're saving them. We're really close to the end. And I didn't realise how fewer laps we had. So we're going to go pretty aggressive now to the finish. Is 2 laps enough for K-Mag to chase down Massa for that final point? I think it might be. I think we've gone a little too late on this one. It's down to 3.8 though. He is massively quicker. But will he run out of tyres by the time he gets there? 3.2, 3.1. Come on, lad. Right, we can probably go overtake for the final lap. Let's use that boost. 2.8 now. Leclerc isn't going to be able to do much. He's going to finish. Someone's pitted. Not sure who. It wasn't either of them, the Williams, but it means that Magnussen's now into the points. Let's go back to normal speed. I don't think he's going to have enough to chase down the two Williams. No, he's going to run out of time. And we're about to run out of fuel, so let's put that back onto medium. And he's across the line. It's P10. It's a point. I think it was Max Verstappen in P12 that stopped for a third time. It was indeed. So we were gifted a point by a late stopping Red Bull there. We end up 4.5 seconds behind Massa and Stroll, who finished less than half a second apart. That was mostly because we ran out of tyres trying to get there. Maybe a little too late. If we'd been, I know these two words don't go together, but if we'd been steadily aggressive throughout that stint rather than just super aggressive at the end, we might well have caught the two Williams. I got caught out there, I think, by how few laps we had left. Because we had about 2.5 laps left and the tyres were still at 50%. And we were, once again, too cautious. Some might say too good on the strategy for our own good, but probably too cautious. But we're not fighting Williams. We know we're not going to beat them this season. They've run away a little bit, along with Toro Rosso. So that 1 point will edge us ahead of Renault. That was a good result. No points for McLaren as well is always good news. That lifts Kevin Magnussen ahead of Pierre Gasly in the championship up to P14 then. Charles Leclerc, no more points today, but a good 11th place anyway. And it means that we move 1 place ahead of Haas, now up to P8. And that 7th place of McLaren is a very real possibility and will be a real steal if we can get it. Career tips for Jamie Ellis: retire, retire, admit that Mercedes AMG are the best, then retire. Michael Barnes, you're a dick, mate. And I think you should go watch another sport, really, if you don't understand that there are different levels of teams in Formula 1. That's very, very rude of you. Oh no, I'm engaging the Twitter trolls. I shouldn't do this. They say this is a bad idea. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's episode. A strong performance from both drivers. They finished, 3 or 4 seconds apart. They both played their strategies really well. I think we managed the fuel a lot better this time. But of course, I'm sure you guys will let me know the little things that I did wrong, as you always do. And hopefully some of the positives as well. One of the big positives is our bank balance. I'm really hoping that I've massively overestimated how much money we need next season. Because if we end up with a massive surplus, then it's going to be good news in a way, because we're going to be able to do the best car we can and build the facilities we need and continue to develop the car at a rapid rate throughout the season. So I'm pretty hopeful that we can have a great season next year, but we've still got 3 more races to concentrate on. And I still think we can chase down McLaren in those remaining races with a couple of points here and there. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Do keep your help and advice coming. Let me know if anybody's experienced that pit crew bug, or if anyone knows what's going on there, because that was really bizarre and a real pain in the arse that I've got to hire all those guys again, but that's the way of the world, I guess. And as always, do hit that subscribe button if you're not already, and tune in next time. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.